certainly we're going to present the board later on present the budget again to the board to the committee, finance committee later this evening with a deeper dive into some of the budget drivers for the 22-23 school year. But between now and April, we're also hoping to get out in the greater Danbury community to share with whether it's citywide PTO, some of our parent groups that Ann has been able to organize last year and also this year, and continue to get feedback, but mostly try to educate the community on the rationale behind the 6.2 ask. And so I know Ann has started to kind of map out what this budget cycle could look like for us in terms of the community members that we will be inviting in. We have some experience. I feel like we had a reasonably good experience last year as part of this process, and we want to replicate the good experiences and kind of build upon those successes. And so, Ann, if you don't mind kind of giving how you facilitated last year, just kind of walk the committee through kind of the plan and expectations for this budget season.
Sure. Hi, everyone. How are you tonight? Great to see everybody. So we have several different target groups, I think, that we can ask to meet with them, to encourage them to get their folks together. I think that's the easiest way versus just having open forums, though I'm open to just having an open forum too if we wish. But I think there's some Hispanic groups through our FRC that we can target. And those workshops would need to be done in Spanish for the families to understand. I think that's really important. I'd also like to see our Parents Seeking Educational Excellence. The group right now, we have 29 folks going through that course. I'd like to see that offered on a Thursday night. They have already asked some of the really hard budget questions already in last Tuesday night's workshop, where we talked about equity in education and equity in budget funding and things like that. And then I think we need to look at, different times. I'm not sure a first thing in the morning would work for folks, but certainly an evening one and perhaps a Saturday one. So I think we have the opportunity for three really well-planned, targeted groups to do our forums with.
Thank you, Ann.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I don't know if there's any feedback on kind of the presentations from last year, how perhaps we maybe can improve them a little bit. I know Ann has been strategic in trying to get out into different parts of the community and make sure our families feel comfortable asking questions in smaller spaces. I have found that that's been really productive for those families to make sure that their voice is heard. But that doesn't mean we can't get better. And so I'm just wondering if there's any feedback on our experiences from last year and maybe how we can kind of build upon our experience from 2022.
So one of the things we didn't do last year was really set kind of a level setting playing field for folks to understand the budget process. So might this year, do we want to invite in Erica Haynes and the folks from Connecticut Finance Project to really kind of do a budget 101 in helping folks to understand why it's important that we advocate for the ECS formula. Why is it important that we have our legislators on board? Really the big picture piece of it, not just that we need to go to City Hall and attend the forums there or send in comments when they do their public hearing in April, but rather, what are the nuances of the budget and how do we parse out pieces of it for folks to really be able to target their comments to. And I really think, just that Education 101 on budgeting from Erica or anyone from Connecticut School Finance would be well worth our time to do that. What do other folks think about that?
I love it.
That's true.
Gladys, did you have something?
I just want to say I think that's an excellent idea. My question would be is how can we tie in the community groups with a lot of the local churches Are any of the local churches involved in that list that you have? And I know some of the churches are still not in full blast. And I know my church, they are still doing some things on Sunday, but it's a limit amount. So my question would be that there's a segment of the community that we're sort of leaving out. How can we sort of partner that information with the budget, concerning the budget, to that group of people?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question, Mrs. Cooper. I would suggest, we in previous years, probably 5 or 6 years ago, when we were doing some of the work, we did partner with the churches, and we met with them in a coffee hour after Mass. And I think it was at New Hope that we met with folks then, and they were already there at church. We provided light refreshments for them. We came in, and I can't even honestly tell you what we were talking to them about, but they were very attentive because they were there already for Mass. So that's something we certainly could do.
Oh, okay.
And we got out into several churches
Yes.
through our Nellie Mae work. I don't remember if it was Saturday or Sundays, but I do recall the Brazilian church in town, New Hope. There was another African-American church that we also visited.
Yes.
And then I feel like we also had an opportunity to visit some of our community centers as well. I don't remember which one.
We did. So, we can target all of those. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Ann and Mike will be working together with the proposed schedule and, making sure that and I don't know the best places to kind of post these events. Like, for example, last night, Citywide PTO volunteered to post some very important information from our high schools. I know obviously we have our own Facebook page, but I do think it's important that we kind of leverage all of these media outlets that we can access, leverage to kind of get the word out to invite folks in.
Mr. Walston, as a lead into the next conversation that you're going to be having with us at the website update, are we going to be putting a budget presentation on the website for folks to access?
I'm sorry, I want to make sure I understand your question. Okay, can you say that again?
I'm just wondering, with regard to the website, I know we're working on redoing the website and kind of updating some things. Is there going to be a presentation of the budget on the website?
Yes.
Something that might be narrated to walk people through it?
I didn't think about the narrating part, but we were definitely going to put the budget presentation and kind of requests up there. That was mentioned in the previous meeting.
Right.
But the narration part is something that we can review, Kate.
Or perhaps like a link to the budget workshops or something of that nature to sort of give people a little bit of access there. Because sometimes looking at that information by itself in a presentation form is a little tough to digest.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Kate. All right. So if there are no more questions on that, I will share with you there that we do have some updates on the next two items, and that is the district website and Parent Square. Our director of technology is not here this evening, not because she's not here. I didn't invite her. But Ann and Mike have been intimately involved in updating both of these programs for us. So I'll ask them to provide an update. I'm very excited about both. Parent Square and the website work is underway. There's some technical things that need to take place before Parent Square is released to the community, but I'll ask Ann and Mike to kind of give us an update in those two areas.
Thanks, Kevin. And I'll talk about the website first, and then we can both ping pong on Parent Square. So the website, we had a parent letter that went out yesterday that gave a bunch of updates on everything from COVID to the website. And in that section on the website was a survey soliciting feedback about what people want to see on the website, how they're going to use it. questions about mobile capabilities, shortcuts, sports schedules, all that kind of stuff. The survey is in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So the letter went out also in all 3 languages, and the link is right there. And the first thing when you get in there, you select your language and you go from there. That survey will be open for a little over a week. It's going to close on February 16th. We're hopeful we get some good feedback. Our partners, it's a company called Lumi out of Hartford. They're going to go back, run the numbers on the survey, and let us know what they found out and how they're going to incorporate those requests and that feedback into the design. From an aesthetic standpoint, it's going to look a lot more like the Danbury City website than the current school website, which I think is a big plus. Some of the things we talked about with the agency just right off the bat was the sort of that landing page is a bit busy and there's a lot of stuff happening on it. So we want to make sure that it has a just more professional aesthetic to it. It's much more well organized. Things are, there's a better logical flow to it. And it doesn't seem like that everything's sort of, it feels like the Las Vegas Strip sometimes when I go on it. So you don't have to, everything's fighting for your attention. So it's just going to be a lot cleaner aesthetic, and I'm very excited about it. And that will live also in my shop too. So I'll be overseeing its maintenance and making sure that it always looks sharp. Let's see. Okay, so that's the website. Please share if you do, if you encounter folks in the community, that they can get that link off that letter and go and give feedback on the site. So the second piece here is Parent Square. And I know we've been talking about this for a little while. You all have obviously been talking about it longer than I have. So we are in the process of switching over from Power School. We're not switched over yet. I would say we're probably in a beta testing mode. There's a very horribly boring but essential process of data tagging going on. And what this is because it links to Power School, we want to make sure that if one teacher sends a message out to her students, it only goes to her students and not the student's brother who might be at another school, or if they send a message to the parent, that it only goes to those parents, not a parent who had that teacher last year. All these little quirky sort of digital logic tagging things that systems like this really sort of hinge on to become effective, because if we don't get that right, we're worried it would just be become a nuisance and then people won't pay attention to it. So we really want to make sure we get right. We've been testing it internally with some of our staff to make sure that, the initial logic works, and we expect to have that done in the coming weeks. And do you want to?
Sure, I'll add to it. We did send out to admin council. From last summer, we sent out a short video for them to look at. Then over the last few months, we've been doing this deep data conversion over, and then we resent it to them again just 2 weeks ago. And then at admin council on Thursday morning, Darlene from Parent Square will be coming in to walk folks through it, to answer any questions that they have. And then they'll be able to start to set up their classes, all the information in their schools, that's already loaded in there. And then we're hoping that by the end of February, we'll open it up to the parents. So we're very, as Mike said, very excited about this. The voice is wonderful on it. It's got a little peppy step kind of thing going on. When the gentleman speaks, it's just that kind of that drawl, you're getting a robocall. So hopefully that will change a little bit of the perception of our families as well as to the new and upcoming. And for those of you that don't know about Parent Square, one of the great things about it is if you have 3 children in 3 different schools and you're getting different robocalls or calls during the day, you can elect to take those calls and put them all into a digest at night. And so you're not throughout the day receiving all these calls from your schools. At night, pick a time that you want it delivered to your inbox or text or email, however you want to have it delivered, and then you read it at your leisure. However, emergency alerts on school delays or cancellations or early dismissals or whatever would supersede that digest and come directly to the device that families have chosen. So we did a lot of back work on this in prep for bringing Parent Square to Danbury. We are taking it slow because we want to make sure that it's done right. And so the data does take a lot of time, as Mike said, and we're almost there. So we're really excited.
Yeah. One last thing.
Opportunity that it brings our district. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ann. So there's one last stage to have the sort of manual control that Ann was talking about, where you can get a digest instead of the daily calls. Folks need to go in and activate their accounts. It'll verify their email. There's also an iPhone app that you can download and have everything stored in there, but you have to go in there and toggle your settings. And the only way you can do that is once you activate your account. So there's going to be a little push to sort of get folks to click on the activate emails and do all that. But I'm optimistic that once people realize that you can control the way you're getting your information, people will go and do that. It's just like push notifications on your phone. 2 or 3 of those come through, you're very quickly in there trying to manage it, to make sure you don't get overwhelmed.
Right. And the tutorials for this program are really wonderful. They're easy to walk through. Our family liaisons are ready to help the families in the school, and the Board of Ed will have their own group too. So you'll all be trained on it to be able to communicate with one another as well.
Did you ever clean these lenses?
That was going to be my next question. So thank you, Ann. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Go ahead, Rachel.
When did you say the rollout was going to be for parents? Mid-February?
We're hoping by the last week of February, we'll be able to push that that button to notify parents. We do have, I think it's close to 1,800 that have already registered, that have gone in and have been able to do it just because they know it's coming. And so they're ready to go. So that's how easy it is. Yeah.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll just give a little props to our technology department.
Yes.
One of the things that makes this possible is the student contact data is so clean, because during COVID, we had to make sure we had all the proper contacts. So that has made it really easy to sort of at least get the first thrust of these data tags going, because there's certain districts where, a kid moves, he lives with dad, and then he moves to mom's house, and then he might be with grandma for a little bit in between, or there's 2 Dan Smiths or something like this, and the data gets crossed. We've scrubbed all that stuff out, and that's actually a tremendously huge job to do. So, props to our IT department who was able to do that, and we're, that big lift is largely through.
Any other questions about the Parent Square update? Or the website update? I see Michelle and Al are on now. I don't know if either one has questions.
So Kate, if I can add, well, Al and Michelle might be considering questions for Louisa as well. Currently, we use School Messenger as a means to communicate with our families for messaging, for announcements, etc. Parent Square will replace School Messenger as our primary means to communicate in terms of our robocalls, etc. And so our expectation is these next several months, as we close out the school year, we will get the school community up to speed on really benefiting from all that Parent Square has to offer. Our families, whether they register for Parent Square or not, will still receive the calls from the robocall system. However, if once they sign up for Parent Square, they will realize the benefits, whether it's in English, Spanish, in Portuguese, they can begin to receive their messages. They can receive them in a catalog fashion, as Ann was referring to earlier, where particularly if you have more than one child in a school system, and you may get various emails, whether from your child's teachers or your principals or the district, they can be cataloged in a way where you could just kind of get them all at the end of the week or all at the end of the day. And so it's, a number of different options in which you can receive this information, but you can only do this once you register. Again, otherwise the default is you would continue to get them in a fashion you did before. But the Parent Square offers some additional options. And for our families that are familiar with Classroom Dojo and Remind, we have a number of teachers across the system that are using those platforms now. Parent Square will allow for communications directly with your teacher in this platform and with your principal in this platform as well. So we're really trying to increase communications in that space. It's not necessarily, just about the district and me pushing out communications to families. This allows for more, this really fosters more communication between our teachers and our parents throughout the school community. So really looking to build upon the gains that we've made and how we've strengthened partnerships with our parents during the pandemic. We don't want to lose that momentum when we feel like this is an opportunity for us. So our teachers, we will work on training our staff, our principals for the remainder of this year, pushing out at the very least, one-way communication from my office, principals' offices before the school year ends. We will make sure that our staff is trained before this year ends so that we can open up next year, fully communicating with families with this means. So we're really excited about Parent Square. I know you've heard this from me a few times. I was really quite I don't know if warned is the right word, but I was encouraged to kind of wait with the official launch just to make sure we've ran a couple of more tests. And that's what Mike was speaking about earlier, because our tech department was really concerned that we would have a couple of challenges if we started the communications before we ran these last number of tests. So it sounds like we're talking about a couple of more weeks before we're in position to do so. And then I have, although nothing concrete, Kate, I do have another update for you regarding the Academy, but I don't know if you had any more questions regarding district website, budget season, or Parent Square for that matter.
Thanks, Mr. Walston. Just want to open this up to committee members and see if anybody has any questions about the things that the staff just discussed.
I do actually have one question, and I might have missed it because I got on late. Is the survey list on the website that is out until February 16th, I guess, that time frame? Do you have the ability to go online and see that survey?
You're talking about the website survey?
Yeah, the website from earlier.
Yeah, it's currently linked through the letter that went out yesterday, and actually don't know if there's a link on the website. I'll make sure we get one up on the front page.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure.
And just to build on what Mike said, tomorrow I'll do a blast out to the community, to all of our community partners, and ask that they share it with families too. So all families will get it a couple of different times to be able to remind them to make sure that they take the survey.
Put them on.
And again, Parent Square, for parents, it'll be live at the end of February, or is that just staff will be live? I'm sorry, I was confused.
Right, so go ahead, Mike, Ann.
So we are aiming for February, at the very end of February. We still have a little bit more data scrubbing to do and work with the admins because they need to be very comfortable in using it. So that's our target, is the end of the month, but it potentially could go another week past that, depending on where the administrators are in being able to allocate time to get it up and going.
Yeah, their big training's the 16th, so I think a lot of that will depend on their comfort level.
Right.
Got it. And that will...
I'm sorry, Rachel.
Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
And that will ultimately replace Remind, Talking Points, every other app that we use for...
School Messenger at the very least, and or down the road, potentially a few more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, and we've been made aware there are a number of different platforms that our teachers are using in absence of one provided by the district. Teachers are using Classroom Dojo, teachers are using Remind, and other means to communicate with their families. We will be encouraging everyone to make sure that Parent Square is the only one that they're using for this form of communication. So yes, we will be replacing all of those others.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. So feel free to continue, Mr. Wilson.
Okay. So given that this was not part of the original agenda, I just thought I'd put an asterisk. Danbury Academy update. I'm not sure why I wrote this in because I don't have anything concrete for you in terms of an update, but I do want to reiterate what most people have heard in the community. And so as I think everyone is aware on this call, it sounds like the talks with the summit regarding our students moving there, our Danbury Academy moving to the summit, it sounds like those talks are at a point where that is no longer going to be an option for the district. I don't think the mayor has announced it's definitely a dead deal, if you will, but it does not sound, I'm not optimistic that that's going to happen. The city did make us aware that they are happy to explore one of the options that we had talked about prior to seeking out the summit as a possible location. That option was actually at Danbury High School. Obviously that comes with some challenges, but the city is certainly prepared to revisit that idea. And as I think most people on this call in the community are also aware, the mayor had informed the community that there was potentially a third option out there as well. And so at this time, waiting for confirmation on the two alternate options, I'm hoping to hear something by the end of the week in terms of what direction the city wants to go in terms of a venue for our new high school and a middle school space. But again, as of right now, it does not sound like the summit is something we're going to be able to move forward on. And I'm hoping to hear something more concrete about our concrete next steps. So hopefully we will have something, who knows, maybe I'll have an update going into the board meeting tomorrow. If not, if I get something more concrete, certainly I will communicate that to the committee and the board. Sorry, Kate.
It is what it is, right?
Yes.
I do hope we'll find some solutions together. I know this is a really great project that has a lot of potential, not only for the district and our students, but for the community at large. So
yes, totally
hopefully
agree.
we'll find a good site for it.
And all of the hard work that we've done to date, we will find a venue. Like we will have a Danbury Academy. Still, the venue is still to be determined, but I'm optimistic we're going to find the right place for our kids and for our staff and for our school community. I think we have the backing, the support by the city. I'm confident we will find the right venue for our new school.
Thank you for the update, Mr. Wilson, and
Yeah,
I appreciate your optimism because we certainly could use more of that.
Yes, I understand.
All right. Do any committee members have any other questions about any of the subjects we covered today, or any suggestions for this committee? Okay.
I'm sorry, Kate. We kind of skipped over committee goals, and I just was wondering if there was anything there that you had in mind. I like to see that, it's not just used for communicating out the budget and so that it's used in other ways, which is exciting. But did you have anything else in mind for the committee?
At the moment, no. I think, we could use this committee in a number of different ways. It would be really great to have, sort of, I don't know if a meet and greet with board members would be something that folks would be amenable to, but I just think that, whatever we can do as board members to be more connected with the community, whatever that looks like, this committee might be a really good vehicle to develop some of that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Good thought. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. In that case, I'll look for a motion to adjourn, please. Thank you, Gladys. Can I get a second, please?
Okay.
Thank you, Michelle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. And hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of time before our next meeting. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.